Saints offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak talks overcoming injuries and much more. I hope that much more is a reasoning of why he ran Alvin Kamara 26 times into our own offensive line against the Philadelphia Eagles. I hope that more is how he is going to adjust to Vic Fangio's blueprint of how to stop the New Orleans Saints. Now, I do appreciate the fact that he wasn't even in the frame. I do appreciate the fact that we're starting this interview at the 0.00 second mark, and he's somewhere else. And I hope that somewhere else is the film room.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Clint?
All right, good. Ready when you are.
This might just be more narrative-driven than reality, but I just want your opinion on it. In terms of coming off of a game against Philly where maybe the offense wasn't where it was the first 2 weeks, is there a charge or a sense of urgency and kind of showing like that was the fluke, not the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, you know, the cool thing about our guys is it's really the same that I saw the first 2 weeks. They haven't changed. Our preparation was the same those first 3 weeks, and you know, they're not changing right now. So there's obviously a sense of urgency to get back on track, and we have the right leadership to do that.
Good question. That was a good question from that hombre. So, and that kind of is the narrative, right? The narrative is, okay, we have two very different data points. One data point is the first 2 weeks, where the Saints were historically the greatest offense in history, certainly most efficient. They were a full point ahead of the New England Patriots, the 2009 Patriots, on points per possession. Undeniable. And then last week, where they were a shell of themselves. I mean, they couldn't do anything besides run Alvin Kamara up the middle. So I think on one hand, it's natural to try and determine which one of those is the fluke. But it's also a bit unfair because the answer could be neither, right? Neither could be a fluke. It could be that you're just 3 games in and you're trying to find this median. You're trying to find this average of like, okay, where actually are you? You know, just because you get blanked in the first game and score 100 points in the second game doesn't mean that you're one of the two. You're probably somewhere in the middle. So it is one of those things where I think fans and analysts or whatever, it is kind of that knee-jerk culture of like, well, they must be one of these two things. But in reality, we're probably closer to like a 28 to 30 point per game team than we are to a 45 point a game team or to a 15 or 12 point per game team.
Go ahead.
Is it almost like there's almost a detriment to maybe overreacting too much in a way?
Oh yeah. Well, you guys know me. I don't react too hard to much anything, you know. So yeah, we got our goals in front of us. We got the next game in front of us, and that's all you can do in the NFL. You know, it is a one-game season every week, and every week we empty our bucket out, and every week we got to fill it back up again for this next game. So that's what we set out to accomplish this week.
100% agree. I mean, that's kind of what I was saying is that that is the detriment to overreacting is that you're trying to quantify something that really isn't quantifiable, especially if you look at it how Clint is and how the NFL is now, where it's kind of a week-to-week season. It's like a week-to-week, like he's saying. It's not one continuous game plan. Like everything is so specific now that the way you beat the Falcons is different than the way you beat the Panthers, which is different than the way you beat the Raiders, which is different than the way you beat whoever. So you can't take them all and kind of have this one continuous average, this one continuous mean. It's not really how that is anymore. So I don't put a lot of stock into. I mean, you can't even imagine like after the Eagles games, what my DMs looked like, what my comment section looked like. I know losses suck, no doubt about it. Wins are awesome, conversely, but you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You got to find that median. You got to figure out like, okay, what is the basis? What is the foundational level of what this team is trying to do week in and week out? Just what is the philosophical kind of ground level? All right. And then how can they use that philosophical ground level to win against whoever they're playing that week? Like I said, how they're going to beat the Falcons is so different than whatever game plan they would have prepped up against the Panthers or against the Eagles or against the Chiefs. So you do have to kind of take it every week by week.
How much responsibility did Eric have just in the offense, and how much does that maybe change when you take a guy like that out?
Oh man, he's an alpha dog on our offense, so we're gonna miss him, and hope he gets better soon. It's a tough injury for him. but that's part of the NFL. You know, there's a lot of attrition in this league, and guys have to step up. That's you know, that's not anything new you guys haven't heard. That's every season, every position. So it's on the next guy to step up, and it's on us as coaches to get the next guys ready. And that's why you just keep developing your young players, and you just never know. So it's part of the game.
Is that
the question I want? That was Nick Underhill asking this question. This is New Orleans Football's video, by the way. We all know they have the best audio when it comes to these interviews, so we usually use theirs. Like always, go check out their content if you want second-to-second news on the New Orleans Saints. The link is always in the description. The way I understand it is that McCoy handled calling the protection on the line. And so McCoy was directing who was doing what on the offensive line. Took something off Carr's plate. Carr can just play, frees him up. It also tells the offensive line, a lot of those young guys, exactly what to do. My understanding is that when he went back to Carr, and that caused, not directly because of Carr, but just it caused Carr to have to worry about that all of a sudden. It caused the offensive line to be a little confused of where they're supposed to be. So I contribute a lot of the issues last week with the protection to McCoy going out. And I'm interested to see if Kubiak will hint or even just outright say, like, yeah, McCoy did handle, you know, coordinating the offensive line.
a big hit to like communication? Like, is that something that you guys got to be aware of too? Is just making sure the communication's happening the right way?
It is, yeah, it is. And you know, he's touching the ball every play. Okay, before the quarterback does. So definitely some adjustments to be made there.
Klint, what gives you the confidence that what Philly was able to do on defense against you is not quote unquote repeatable, like that other teams can't just be like, oh, we'll do that too?
Yeah, well,
I would think, I mean, one of the first things is that every team doesn't have Jalen Carter. You know, every team doesn't have the horses to do that. That was kind of a cheap answer, and to an extent, I don't even believe that answer. They're all NFL players. I mean, yeah, obviously, when you have someone like Jalen Carter, it's easier to do what the Eagles did, but if the Eagles, I think like the paradox or whatever is that if the Patriots did this to stop the Rams in the Super Bowl, which we covered here on the channel, and then the Eagles did it to stop the Saints, it is inherently repeatable.
all you can do is keep showing up to work and make sure you improve the next week. I thought they did a heck of a job, and you know, it's on us to make the adjustments.
I mean, is that the primary part of this job? Like, I mean, you know, I mean, and then over time you've seen that change from week to week. No one's ever got it kind of figured out.
Absolutely. Yeah, you stay humble or you'll be humbled really quick. And you know, I thought Philly did a good job. I thought we had so many opportunities that we didn't make in the game. You know, we had unbelievable field position from our defense and special teams, and we have to take advantage of that. So, you know, missed opportunity and another opportunity this week.
Man, what did working with Kirk Cousins teach you about handling veteran quarterbacks and working with Derek this time around? Can you talk from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really impressive pro, and guys like him and guys like Derek Carr, those guys make you better coaches because they're so on the details, they're so intelligent, and they work so hard, and they expect a lot out of their coaches, so they make you better. So that's you know, Kirk's that way. Derek Carr has that in spades. So two impressive guys that make you better.
Does it matter that Olave and Sheed and AK have handled so many of the touches, such a high percentage of all the touches? Like, do you need to get more people involved, or is it just a matter of getting the playmakers and
So I'm kind of torn on this because I don't really care. Like, as long as we are efficiently moving the ball and as long as we are having success, I don't really care where it comes from. I vehemently disagree that you have to get players touches just because they're there. I said that all last year. Like, getting Jamal Williams his 8 touches a game that were not working was hurting our offense last year. There isn't a rule that says, oh, you have 3 receivers, you have to give all of them touches, right? Like, if something's working, use it. Keep doing it. You know, so I personally don't care at all. The flip side of that is if it is not working or if it's stagnant, then you obviously have to move the ball around and try and figure something else out. So I think it's all efficiency per play kind of determined.
ball in the best player's hands?
definitely you want to get as many guys involved as possible, and sometimes that's how it goes. Three weeks into this thing, and throughout the season, there's going to be more guys step up. The young guys that are going to keep stepping up, and I don't think we set out to, give someone a certain number of touches each game.
Good.
Sometimes coverage dictates that. The game dictates whether you're throwing it more, passing it more. But those guys you mentioned. Those are some of our dogs. So we're going to get them the rock. Yeah.
How did you feel about your commitment to the run against Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give him this. He did not abandon the run. I will say this. Klint was more committed to the run than I think anyone has ever been committed to anything.
Well, that's something that we always want to commit to, and I thought you didn't have the production that you had. So in a close game like that, I think you definitely stay committed to the run, especially when your defense is playing as good as they are.
I think this was the big mistake. I mean, obviously hindsight 2020, but Philadelphia was daring you to throw. And I understand the pass protection was an issue or whatever, but Chris Olave was kind of all you can eat. He was kind of free almost throughout the game. I looking back, I would have at least a possession or two. So you know what? If they want to dare us to throw, we're going to throw. And we're going to throw to Chris Olave, and we're going to let him do what he can do. And once we kind of opened that up at the end of the game, we started to move the ball. And that's when we scored, we scored at the end there. So I understand the whole, you don't want to abandon the run. And I mean, you certainly did not. But I think when it's such an obvious, it's such an obvious challenge from the defense, they're telling you what they're doing. They weren't disguising at all what they were doing. They were telling you exactly what their plan was. They were out there to stop the run. And yeah, I guess at a certain point, if you can run on that, if you can run when they are selling out to stop the run, then you kind of break their back. But that's what I think was his big whoopsie poopsie, was not trying to lean more into okay, all right, you don't think we can throw? Okay, we're going to throw. We're going to get Derek, and we're going to give him a chance here to make some magic with Chris Olave. And, so that's what I would say was the big issue with our response to Fangio's defense.
When you're facing that level of kind of interior pressure the way you were against the Eagles, does that affect kind of the plays you feel like you can call in certain situations, and just kind of generally, how do you feel like Derek handled that throughout the course of the game?
Yeah, I thought Derek had a really good game. I've been really impressed with him, and every opportunity he had to make a big time throw in a clutch situation, I thought he did. So,
well, not every. I mean, come on, Clint. We had eyeballs. Okay, I'm not saying Carr was bad, but come on, bro.
Then I was really impressed with him. The first part of your question, I don't think I answered. Could you repeat it?
Just when you have that level of kind of interior pressure, does that affect kind of plays maybe you feel like you can call in certain situations?
Yeah, probably just kind of the flow of the game, but yeah, it does. It definitely does. But that's, every defense in the NFL gives you those types of looks and that interior pressure, and this week will be no different. This is a really good front.
Yeah, you that's the answer you want, right? The answer you want is, yeah, it obviously dictates the play calls we're going to have. We're not if the interior pressure is killing you, then you shouldn't call plays that it's going to run directly into that interior pressure. Yeah, that just like if a team is doubling Chris Olave and taking Chris Olave away, you're not going to force plays to Chris Olave when you know that it's not efficient. So that's part of that adjusting to the game flow and get in the game script.
Clint, not a lot of teams in the NFL use fullbacks anymore. Maybe half the NFL has fullbacks on their roster. What to you makes it such a useful position within your offense, and what do you think about the way Prentice plays it?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a scheme that we like. Getting two backs in the backfield. I'm not going to comment on the rest of the league, but I'm really impressed with Adam Prentice from the day that I got here. He's been one of the hardest working guys on our offense. Guy practices the way you want. He's a kind of a leader by example guy, just a hard-nosed NFL ball player that can't have enough guys like him. So been impressed with that.
I think the next thing you'll see with the NFL is this like super hybrid Taysom Hill, fullback, tight end, running back, a little bit of everything. I think you're seeing it a lot. Like you're seeing it kind of across the board now with the really innovative teams. I mean, even someone like Carson Steele for the Chiefs was kind of that. Now he's more of like a tried and true running back since Pacheco went out. You're seeing it a lot in college where, you know, all of a sudden you have these players who are, they're kind of like bigger power backs, but they can also receive. Like we saw it last night with Dallas. Dallas has a player like that. So I think that's the next thing you'll see in the NFL is like every team will have a Taysom Hill. They might not be as good as Taysom Hill, but the Kyle Juszczyk, the Taysom Hills of the world, you're going to see a lot of that, especially as we move, because we're obviously shifting more to that like heavy set package. We're getting away from the air raid. We're getting away from the spread out offenses. So everything's becoming much more of a heavy set, but athletes are getting better. So you're not going to see the old school fullback per se. You're going to see a new hybrid version of that, which is basically just a better athlete. And a better athlete nowadays is someone who can run, catch, block, do everything. So I think pretty soon, within the next year or two, you'll see kind of these positionless weapons basically on every single team.
All right.
Thank you.
Klint, get it together, baby. Get it together. Me and you, Klint. We can do this. Come on, brother. Come on, Atlanta this weekend. Please, Klint. Please get it figured out. Call me if you need me. If you want to watch film or something, brother, I'm right here. I'm all 22, and I have an NFL Plus subscription. I have it paid. I got the goods. I can watch it. Come on. Klint, this is the weekend, my man. Sunday, noon. Please, God, please beat the Falcons. Please. 3-1, Klint. Save the season. Please, Klint. Sorry y'all had to see me like that, ladies and gentlemen. Let my emotions get the best of me. Get on down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. This video is going out on Friday. So, TGIF. TGIF indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the best day of the week, some would say. I disagree with that because of the lack of football. But a lack of football, you know, for some people, it's like the one day of the week they can go do something. They can see their friends and family, you know, whatever. So, enjoy it, and I will see you in the next video.